getting in.
Why, thank you, Mr. Shepard. As the number of people on the government dole keeps growing, Americans now saying enough. Welcome, everyone. I'm Eric Bolling in for Neil Cavuto, and this is Your World. And with the growing entitlement programs, government spending on Social Security up 156% over the last 20 years, Medicare, excluding premiums, up 262%, and food stamps up 225%. Americans are clearly worrying because 49% of American households are said to have at least one person receiving some sort of government assistance. And if this brand new Fox poll is any indication, they've had absolutely enough. 74% say Americans rely on the government too much and not enough on themselves. To personal finance guru, Mr. Larry Winget, who says people are saying enough is enough. Larry, love the shirt. Let's start with this. 49% of households don't even pay an income tax, a federal income tax. When does it stop? And by the way, why is it happening? Let's do that one first.
Well, I think it's happening for a lot of reasons. I really do. I think when you look at this, it's much more than just food stamps and much more than all the other entitlement programs. When you realize that we have nearly 60% of parents who are still supporting their adult children in one way or the other, we have the largest percentage of adult children moving back in with their parents since the Great Depression. All of those things are indications that we have raised a generation that is more than willing, in fact, they're completely happy to let someone else, from the parents to the government, take care of them instead of taking care of themselves. That's the real problem. We created this mess by teaching them that it was okay.
All right, Larry, fair and balanced, right? So if 50% of the country isn't paying any income tax and 49% is receiving some sort of benefits, but 74% say enough is enough, does that mean some people who are getting benefits don't want the benefits?
No, that means they're lying. They're disgusted with the whole thing, but they're not willing to give up their government check either. You know, look at the jobs report. I think that's another great indication. We have 1.8 million people who have just stopped looking for a job. How do you stop looking for a job? Don't you have bills? Don't you have commitments? Don't you have a family to take care of? You just quit because it got too hard? Well, things are hard. And you have to suck it up and you have to power through. But we've taught society that when it gets hard, it's okay to quit. Why wouldn't you quit? The government's right there with a check to take care of you.
Well, Larry, one of the cool things about filling in for Neil when he's out is these producers are so good. They remember everything. Watch this. Nancy Pelosi, 2010. Comment after, please.
We see it as an entrepreneurial bill. A bill that says to someone, if you want to be creative and be a musician or whatever, you can leave your work, focus on your talent, your skill, your passion, your aspirations, because you will have health care. You don't have to be job locked.
Thoughts, sir?
She ought to be ashamed for saying that, and I'm embarrassed that any American leader, she calls herself a leader, would have those words come out of their mouth. It's not okay not to have a job. It's just not okay. We should have taught our kids that having a job is more honorable than not having a job. You and I came from a generation where if we had told our parents we were going to rely on the government and we were going to go be musicians on the street, our parents would have smacked us upside the head, and they should have.
Larry, we're going to leave it there.
Now,
I remember waiting tables, dropping a fork down some lady's back and getting fired that moment. I had to go out and get a paper out. Swear to God, true story. Larry, you're going to have to leave it there. We did. We came from another generation.